Hi, welcome to Nomis Academy. Today we'll be dealing with quadratic equation using factorization method. So first I want to begin with what is quadratic equation. Know it that quadratic equation is an equation of degree 2 or a polynomial of degree 2. Now what does that degree 2 mean? It means that there is a term in the equation that is squared. There is a term in the equation that is squared, meaning that it's having a power of 2. And the form of quadratic equation is thus: a x squared plus bx plus c equals 0. This is the form of quadratic equation where a, b, and c are integers. So there could be any of the integers, could be negative, positive numbers. Do we get it now? Now we have ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. So this is the form of quadratic equation. Now I want to tell you that this form of quadratic equation exists such that the first term ax squared remains that, then the second term bx is the sum of the root of the quadratic equation, while c, which is the last term, is the product of the roots of the same equation. What do I mean by roots? Roots of quadratic equations are the possible values of x. Unlike linear equation, you only have one solution, but for quadratic equation we have two solutions, meaning we have two values for x. So in that case we say that these values of x are the roots of the equation, such that the form of quadratic equation that we have above can be written as ax squared plus, if alpha and beta are the root of quadratic equation, then we say alpha plus beta plus alpha multiplied by beta. So where alpha and beta are the root of the quadratic equation, so of the equation. So where alpha and beta are the roots of the quadratic equation, then we say that ax squared, or we say x squared plus alpha plus beta plus alpha beta, meaning that the middle term, let me bracket this to put x, the middle term is what? Is the sum of the roots, while the last term is the product of the roots. Very good. You're following me? So if I want to factorize this now, what do we get to factorize it? We have to deal with the terms. Remember that we have the first term, we have the second term, right? And we have the third term. The third term, alpha multiplied by beta. Now, to factorize this, what we need to do is to get the factors of alpha beta. Now, the factors of alpha beta, remember, factors are numbers that can divide another number without remainder. So, what are the factors of alpha beta? So, the factors of alpha beta, alpha, beta. So, these are beta. So, these are the factors of beta. These are the numbers that can divide alpha beta without remainder. One can divide any number. You get it? So 1 is a factor of all numbers except 0. So alpha can divide without remainder, beta can divide it without remainder as well. So, and lastly, alpha beta. So we have these 4, and beta and alpha beta. So we have these 4 factors as alpha beta. So what do we now get to think? We're not getting to know that, okay, what can I multiply together among these factors that will give me alpha beta, and can you as well give me the sum of alpha plus beta? So out of these factors, I have 1, alpha, beta, and alpha beta. So if I multiply alpha by beta, I will have alpha beta, which is the third term. If I had alpha plus beta, I will have the middle term, alpha plus beta. So that's how I factorize. Then I cannot tell that, opening bracket, since I have x squared, I share x to both brackets. Then I take this value that I have here, alpha multiplied by beta, alpha plus beta. So I'm dealing with alpha and beta. So I'll say plus alpha, which is one of the roots, plus beta, which is the second root. So second root. So by the time you open this bracket. Opening this bracket should give us back our equation, so that x times x will give us x squared, plus x times beta should give us x beta, plus x times alpha should give us x alpha, plus alpha times beta should give us alpha beta. So this is x squared plus, since I have xx, I can factorize x out. So I have alpha plus beta into bracket x. Do you get it now? Plus alpha beta. So this is how we factorize. This is how to factorize quadratic equation. Now let's see some of the examples that we have for today. Example number 1. Solve, sorry, let me use my eraser. So solve x squared plus x minus 12 equals to 0 using factorization method. Factorization method. The method might not be written, but just say solve using factorization. So how do I get this done? Solution. Knowing fully well the form of quadratic equation, x squared plus x minus 12. Then the first thing I will need to do is to find the factors of the last term. So by the side, factors of 12. So these are 1, numbers that can divide 12 without remainder, 2, 3, 4, 6, and finally we have 12. So these are the factors. So among these factors now, which two numbers will I multiply together to give me minus 12, and if I plus them together it will give me 1. Remember, the coefficient of x here is 1 because we only have one x here, right? So we only have one x here. So the coefficient of this x here is minus. What we have here is, so we need to consider this minus because it will definitely alter what we are going to factorize. So we are going to take of these values, of these factors of 12, which of them that if I multiply together should give me minus 12, if I add them together should give me x. That tells that these factors, if I want to pick them, I will consider being negative or positive. So if I tend to choose negative or positive, then I would not say 3 and 4. I think 3 and 4 has to give us 12. 2 and 6 has to give us 12. 12 and 1 has to give us 12. So 12 times 1, 12. If I take minus 1 and 12, I will have minus 1 times 12, I will have minus 12. But the addition of minus 1 and 12 will not give me 1. Can you get it now? So if I take 6 and 2, if I say 6 times 2, 12, let's say I take 1 to be negative, minus 2 multiplied by 6, I will definitely have minus 12. That is good for the last term, but the middle term says it must be plus 1. So if I say minus 2 plus 6, I will have 4. So it's not giving me the middle term. But let's check 3 and 4. So 3 and 4, we have 3 and 4. 3 times 4 will give me 12. So if I take one to be negative, the other one to be positive, so that I will have this negative answer. So if I take minus 3 plus 4, such that minus 3 times 4, that I should have minus 12, minus 3 plus 4, that I should have 1. Definitely the factors I can work with is 3 and 4, and in the order of minus 3 plus 4. Then I will come back to my equation to factorize out by opening my bracket like this and sharing x, since I have just x squared, by sharing x at both sides and take those factors in, factors of 12 in, that is minus 3 plus 4. I just factorized the equation. Now that I have factorized the equation, remember, the question is not saying we should just factorize and leave it. It asks us to solve x squared plus x minus 12 equals to 0 using factorization method. Now that we are factorized, meaning that we can now solve easily, right? Now to get this solved easily, we need to check first, am I correct with my factorization? X times x, I should have x squared plus 4 times x, I should have 4x, minus 3 times x, I should have minus 3x, Then minus 4 times 12, I should have times 4, I should have minus 12. So I will have x squared. So 4x minus 3x, that's plus x minus 12. So that tells that my factorization was correct. So let me now get into the solution that I need to provide for the answer. Now that I have x minus 3, open bracket, x plus 4 equals to 0. So meaning I can say that x minus 3 is equals to 0, or x plus 4 is equals to 0. So to further from there, I can then say x is equals to, for the first one, I can say is equals to 0 plus, because when minus 3 goes to the other side, becomes 3, plus 3. So x here is equal to 3. Or the second one, which says x plus 4 is equal to 3. That says that x is equals to 0 minus 4. And 0 minus 4 is definitely minus 4. Now, the roots of the quadratic equations are 3 and minus 4. I believe you understood this. So these are the roots of the quadratic equations. The second example, solve x squared plus 2x minus 15 using factorization method. Now let's take the solution. Just like we did the first one, I told you the first thing we're going to do with x squared plus 2x minus 15 is that we find the factors of 15. And the factors of 15 are 1, 3, 5, and 15. Now that we have the factors of 15, now I can now think which among these factors that, which two among these factors that if I multiply them together, I will have minus 15, and if I add them together, I will have 2. Remember, I said we must consider these factors with signs, whether positive or negative, meaning whether plus or minus, to get what we are actually looking for. Now, for me to deal with that, I will need to say, okay, for me to get 2, I will need 5 minus 3. I know 5 minus 3 should give me 2. That's correct. What about 5 multiplied by minus 3? So that gives me minus 15. Now that I have that, 3 and 5 would work with what I want. So I can go back to my equation and say, okay, to factorize, I'll open the bracket. Since I have just x having coefficient equals to 1, I can just say x, right? Now, I'll put in those factors just like I have gotten them, which is plus 5 and minus 3. So I just factorized it. Now that I factorized, remember that is equal to 0. So I can say that x plus 5 is equal to 0, or x minus 3 is equal to 0. So with the first, I can say that x is equal to minus 5, or x is equal to 3. So the possible values of x are minus 5 or 3. So this minus 5 or 3 are the values, or this minus 5. Now this minus 5 or 3, minus 5 and 3 are the possible values of x, which are the roots of the equation. Good. Bye bye. See you in the next video.